Welcome to the Massage Business Success Podcast. My name is Amy Bradley Radford, and I help solopreneurs just like you learn how to do it all. I teach you how to earn $60,000 a year or more at the table, while also providing you with the continuing education you need to be successful without burning yourself out. I'm a board-certified massage therapist and have been practicing massage therapy for over 30 years, and I'm a nationally approved continuing education provider for over 20 years. I had my monthly business column in Massage Magazine called Advanced Business Strategy for many years, where I was able to share all kinds of tips about how to have a successful business with business owners just like you. I have also developed the Pain Patterns and Solutions modality, where we learn how to apply non-inflammatory therapeutic massage techniques to create real pain relief that lasts. Now, if you're ready to help your clients and make money at the same time, let's dive in. So hello, my friends, to the Massage Business Success Podcast. Today I have a special treat. I would like to welcome Hannah Van Woert, founder of Meteor Street Studio, to our podcast today. And Hannah is going to give us some amazing information about website design. Hannah transforms experience-driven wellness and lifestyle entrepreneurs just like yourself through strategic website design that attracts ideal clients. Using her magnetic presence method, which I love, she helps entrepreneurs command the rates they deserve while maintaining authentic alignment. So I'm so excited to bring Hannah on the podcast today. Well, welcome everybody to the Massage Business Success Podcast. Hannah is going to be talking to us about how to avoid the 1-second web decision that can cost massage therapists their dream clients. And I want to let all of you know that Hannah, and I was actually really impressed. Hannah reached out to me and said, hey, I would really love to come and help massage therapists learn about how to develop their websites in such a more profound way to get their perfect clients. So Hannah, I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn a lot of this podcast over to you, because as you and I have been discussing and really planning for this podcast, I have just been really, really impressed with what you are bringing to the table. And people, I'm here to tell you, listen closely. There is so much good information that you can add to your website that I think is like business and life changing. So Hannah, go ahead and introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about who you are and your sole purpose and how it is you came to be who you are.
Well, thank you, Amy. I'm so excited to be on the podcast today and chat with you. When I actually reference your podcast quite frequently in my own work, because I really want to understand what massage therapists and body workers' pain points are, and so how we can adjust that as best as we can in a brand and a website. So yes, today is something I'm so excited to talk about and contribute to your audience. So a little bit about my background. I am a brand strategist and website designer who helps experience-driven entrepreneurs transform their digital presence into something that effortlessly attracts premium clients. And I have just been so excited and passionate about this topic. There have been so many of these types of entrepreneurs that have deeply affected and transformed my own life.
Mm-hmm.
So it just feels really, really good to me to be able to give back through my knowledge and my skill set.
And I think that's what I've really seen through everything we've worked together is this is truly a giving back. This is really helping massage therapists and I think service industry in general really understand how to connect with their perfect client. I have to tell you that as we go through and talk through this podcast, I have dove deep into Hannah, and I've actually done a lot of the things that she's going to recommend for you to do on this podcast for your website. But the amount of time that I have sat back and really thought about who I am and what I'm bringing to my community, and that's the brand part of this, that no one's ever really challenged me. I mean, I always thought brand was like a color or an image or, hey, here's my business card with something really fun on it. But it is so much deeper than that. And I think that's why it's perfect for massage therapists, because there's a lot of intuition and a lot of thought and a lot of emotion that goes through some of the things that Hannah's going to talk to us about. It almost reminded me of like she was giving my brand a massage. I mean, it was like I could just I could feel this transformation. And so I really think that I know for a fact, having dove in and participated with some of the things that she's offered me for free, and offering all of you as well, have started to really change how I see myself online. And so I'm going to let her dive in and teach you some really powerful tools. So Hannah, take it away.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm going to use I give your business a massage now as part of some of my marketing materials because that's a great line.
It's a great line.
Um, quickly, I wanted to ask you, like, how have you noticed that massage therapists in your community are struggling with the disconnect between their amazing in-person work and how they show up online? Is that like been coming up a lot for you?
I've seen that for years.
Yeah.
I have seen that for a long time because when you're a massage therapist and you go to school, it's really hard to connect. And I think this is the easiest way to say, when you give a massage to somebody, they're paying you and walking away with something invisible.
Hmm.
It's a feeling, and it's not a tangible object. You're walking away with something that is inside of you that you're happy about. And so how do you really put that into a marketing piece? How do you really do that? I think one of the challenges we run into as massage therapists trying to bring more people into our clientele is if you can't physically put your hands on somebody and they can experience your touch, then how do they really know who you are? So this would be the next step of getting them to understand who you are. And then I think there's a disconnect between marketing lingo and marketing imagery. And there's so much spa stuff out there, and you don't want to tell
Hmm.
people your spa. It's like, how do you really create who you are in a way that people can identify without being touched? And I think
Hmm.
that's the unique aspect you're bringing in here, is they're going to feel touched even though they haven't been, so they already know who you are before they show up.
Great. Well, I'm going to cover some things that I think will help to bridge that gap.
Mm-hmm.
But first, I'm going to share like a little statistic that honestly shocked me when I heard it for the first time, is that our brains have completely adapted to making split-second decisions, especially like we're so used to scrolling through social media and just like visuals, 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 where our brains are like zapping back and forth all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And research has shown that it takes just zero point zero 0.05 seconds for someone to form an impression about you and your website. And like that's faster than you can say massage therapy, right?
Yeah, it
So
is.
it's wild. And on top of that, 94% of these first impressions are based purely on design aesthetics, not credentials, not your training, not reviews. It's just what it looks like. So that's why the design of your digital presentation is so important. So, like, what's happening in that split second, potential clients are analyzing subconsciously, like, is this person a professional or are they an amateur? Does this feel like it's going to be a premium, amazing experience, or is this just like a super budget
Yeah.
option?
Mhm.
Does this space feel calming and trustworthy, or is it going to be chaotic in there? Am I going to be uncomfortable? Like they're just automatically thinking those things. So the most common red flags that I see on massage therapist websites are first that they're using just like random generic templates that
Mhm.
make them look like any other business in
Yeah.
town. And when your website looks identical to like 10 other businesses, there's nothing for your clients to remember you by. Like I know a lot of people work on like Squarespace or Wix and they'll just use like the templates that are already in there and just go for it. And those templates are not always built for your specific needs and like what your kind of client is, the journey that they're going through.
No, no,
Yeah.
they're not. I am this person, Hannah. Before I met you, I am this person, and not because I wanted to be, but because I didn't understand how to create. When you're only given a set of
Yeah.
tools, I didn't understand how to actually create some of that and the thinking that goes behind that. I have to tell you really quickly, after you and I talked, I had to go do some research about a business in my community because I was trying to reach out for a teaching opportunity. And I went to their website and I went, oh my gosh, I can see what Hannah sees now. It was it was completely generic. It was all stock photo. It was, I mean,
Yeah,
it was done, but there was nothing that drew me into that business. And it was a multi-therapist.
uninspiring.
So I went, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, she has opened Pandora's box and I can see it.
Sorry. Yeah. Once you know it, you can't unsee
You
it.
can't unknow it. But I just had to put that in there because it was just so fascinating to see it all of a sudden.
And
Mm-hmm.
then that brings me to the second point, red flag, which is visual chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who just do too many colors, fonts jumping all over the place, elements all over their website fighting for attention. And this is actually creating the opposite feeling of what your service is trying to create, which is anxiety.
Yeah.
And people are going to jump. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't even understand this website. Or why are they using like hot pink and like this giant bull? Like, I've seen this and it's wild. So trying to avoid that. And then third, I would say is low quality imagery or imagery that fails to capture the nature of your experiences. So like I I can't tell you how many times I've seen on massage or spa or any wellness practitioner's website, it's just like flowers and eucalyptus and lavender images. And okay, like some of that is fine as far as like a vibe, but when that's what you're like leaning heavily on, it's not doing you any favors.
It doesn't
And
it doesn't say massage. I mean,
yeah.
it might say massage to the massage therapist who put it on there, but it doesn't
Mhm.
say massage to the consumer.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And it doesn't convey anything of what they're going to get out of it. So, and I would say the last issue that I see a lot, which is probably maybe the most important, is mobile display issues. I have been on so many websites that aren't even optimized for mobile. It's just really hard to you have to go on the computer in order to navigate the website or book a massage. And I think it's like 60% of people now are using mobile over a computer. So displaying properly on a phone is so, so, so vital right now. And it's only going to increase. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
And I have to interject in here. I actually wrote an article about this for Massage Magazine that you have to own a computer to run your business because I don't think you can design a website on your phone, which is what I've seen some of the people do. And so if you're struggling to do that, well, that's because there's a time and a place. But even if you design it
Hmm.
on the computer, you still have to turn around and make sure that it is mobile friendly. And I see
Hmm.
a lot of older websites where people don't want to dive in and update their business
Hmm.
that are still not mobile friendly in
That's
my
so tough.
Mhm.
I mean, when someone is dealing with pain, they're on the go. Sometimes they're going to realize on the go while they're having the pain or whatever it is that they need help with
The
that
stress.
they want to book an appointment right now and they're going to not like find you or like you might miss an opportunity, you might miss a client interaction by not being mobile friendly.
Yes. Yes, so it's huge. That one right there is huge. And I'm interested to see what you say about that one because I still struggle with going back and forth between the views just a little bit. And I think it has to do with the product I'm using. So we're,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk a little bit more about that one as well. Yes.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So take us, lead us, show us what you want to show us, Hannah.
All right. Well, I would say that there is one like quick test you
Oh,
can do today. And that is ask someone else that you like, not yourself, because you're too close to it. Ask a friend, ask a family member. Maybe if you're at a coffee shop, go and ask the person sitting by you, show them your website and ask them to look for just like 1 second and then close it. And then you're going to ask them, what kind of service do you think I offer? Do you think it looks professional or amateur? And what feeling did you get from that glimpse? And their answer is going to tell you exactly what potential clients see in that first critical moment. So
That's almost like
definitely do that.
a
That's
mic.
something you can do
There's a
today.
mic drop. There's a mic drop right there. Ping.
That's going to tell you kind of what your red flags are in the moment, right? Which of those ones I already listed is your biggest issues. And then you're going to have to move forward and address those first.
And don't worry, because Hannah's going to teach you today some very simple
Yes.
skills about how to move forward so that you can start changing this. You can actually, most massage therapists don't like tech. They want to stay away from tech. So I'm telling you, we're going to
Mhm.
love tech. We're going to massage tech today. And you're going to have some answers by the time we
Yes.
get done talking.
All right. Great.
Okay.
So let's move into one of the big mistakes that I see therapists making on their website. And this is going to change a lot for you. And that's credentials. So like you are so proud of your certifications as you should be. You should be, posting those licenses up on the wall. You've worked hard for every single one. But the number one thing I tell all my clients is that your website is not a resume.
Mhm.
It's to try to get clients and help people, extend your service to people. So I'm curious from you, have you noticed from your community or from your clients how often wellness practitioners lead with credentials instead of with the client experience? And why do you think that's happening?
All the time. I see it
Yeah.
all the time. And I might be a little more calloused when I approach this one, but I tell them your client doesn't care. They, I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure you're licensed and that you're a professional, but what they
Yes.
want is the feeling.
Yeah.
They don't care that you do XYZ, this sort of technique or whatever. Can that technique create the feeling I'm asking for? So when I help people, with business coaching and they show me their marketing materials or the business card, because they're not dead, business cards are still out there, or even a rack card if they're leaving it somewhere, locally. We break it down and say, well, this is nice that you graduated here and you have this credential and you do this type of body work, or
Mm-hmm.
you may actually list out all the body work you did, like reflexology and prenatal, and they don't care. They don't care. They want to
Yeah.
know if you're going to get rid of your pain. So, are you a pain reduction person? Are you stress management? Are you relaxation? That's what
Mm-hmm.
they want to know. Yes.
Yes.
So, 100%, 100%. I agree with you completely.
Right. And like when you lead with that long list of certifications and technical terminology, you're creating this wall between you and the person looking at your site. That distances potential clients instead of drawing them in. You're wasting space because they don't understand what all that is. They don't care.
They don't
Like
care.
you said, they want to know that you're like legit, but that's kind of where it ends. Unless they're also a massage therapist, they're not going to be impressed with this huge list of I've done this and that, this training, whatnot. So a really good client honestly assumes that you're competent if they, see that
Mhm.
you're licensed, but that's not what they're questioning. They're going to make decisions based on connection and trust, and they want to know how you're going to make them feel. So that's where my features to feelings framework comes in. Instead of focusing on your technical expertise, instead of focusing on just like the plain features of your services or your different styles of massage, we want to translate that into the transformation that the clients will experience. So, for example, instead of listing out deep tissue massage techniques, talk about the profound relief of finally moving forward without the chronic tension that's been holding you back.
Mhm.
Really go into that description. You don't have to go on and on and on. People, again, they're skimming a website. It's not a novel. That's also something I've seen people just
Yes.
go blah, blah, blah. Um,
I think
get
that's
to the
me. That's
point.
me. That's me. Sorry, it is.
It's hard. It's hard to go for. There's like two ends of the pendulum, right? It's just the technical, it's just the list, too little information, and then there's too much information. We want to find that happy middle that talks about the end result and
Mhm.
describes it and makes it more sensory. because that's what your whole experience is about.
Hmm. How it
Um,
how to feel, how you're going to feel when it's all
mhm,
said and done. Yes. And same thing. You know what, I have to point out that I really like how you just said, deep tissue massage. Well, that's one thing. People equate deep tissue with pain management, but that says
mm,
two totally different things to people right there. And so
mhm,
being able to put that into a sentence like what you just said, where they can feel what you're doing with that, oh, that's huge.
yeah.
Absolutely huge.
It also helps the clients who maybe they're new to massage
Hmm.
and they like, I don't know the difference between all these techniques, but when you describe more about that outcome state, they're going to understand better.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when you think about like the most successful massage therapists that you know, what seems to set them apart in how they communicate with their clients?
You're talking verbally, not like,
It could be either, because I think even verbally, that's good inspiration.
you know, with these new glasses I have on, I actually went out and kind of looked around me, and I was really drawn to a website or anything that made me feel confident about the person. Like, and I could feel their confidence. Like,
Hmm.
wow, they're it's no longer about ego. It's no longer about, when you get out of massage school and you're just trying to find clients. And so you're throwing everything out there. It was very clear. The messaging was very clear, but I immediately felt comfortable in the presence of this person, but I wasn't in their presence. It was like they had experience.
Mm,
They knew what they were talking about. They could say it simply. And it was somebody that I wanted to reach out and get to know.
awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, you definitely just like that's it. Like putting that on your website where it's like not super complicated, approachable, and it shows empathy.
Yes. Yes. Yes, because that's how I mean, we want to go to a massage therapist that can hear us, feel us, make us feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less transactional. Um,
Yes.
so here's a few questions to help people identify what that emotional transformation is that clients truly seek, because sometimes it can be hard to you can try these approaches when you're working with clients on the table, asking them deeper questions about how their physical discomfort affects their daily life. Pay attention to what people are saying after their sessions with you, especially if they're unexpected benefits. And also take note of what kind of activities are people mentioning that they're missing out on or that they're looking forward to returning to once they no longer have this issue that they're dealing with. And so when you really understand what they're seeking or what their desires are, you can take those nuggets that people are telling you exactly what to say on your website already and just put it in your content.
I have a great example of this actually. And it's something that I teach in advanced pain management because the words come up all the time and it helps you identify with your client even in conversation. And when the therapist says these things, the client's like, oh my gosh, you understand me. And it's how much pain affects rest.
Mm.
How much pain affects rest. So if you even take just that concept and you're putting it onto a website, Hannah, it would be, imagine having a more restful, peaceful night's rest. People are like, ding, 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 there I am.
Great.
Yeah.
Sign me up because I need that. I have two young kids.
Breaking the patterns of pain allows you to sleep better. And now we have just, but you know what? Until I've talked to you and I understand that never came to my mind to put it on a website. Yes, it's in my
Yeah.
teaching materials, but I never thought about, pulling and identifying with people that way.
Yeah, for sure. And it gives people, instead of hiding behind that wall of like, that's in your teaching materials or this is how you interact with someone in person,
Mhm.
um, you give them that first intro into your world. You're just pretending that they're already your client on the website and you're getting them excited for your first session.
Yes. And for those of you listening, I know there's a a little spiel that you go through when you have a new client and you put them at ease, and the words that you've learned to use to really bring them in and nurture them. Those are the words we're talking
Mhm.
about. Those, because it
Yes.
talks about who you are and why they're not on your website and only in your treatment room coming out. There you go. There's some of that disconnect. So there's my mic drop. Plink.
There you go. And
Mm-hmm.
that bridges excellently into my next point. So when you're working on a website, I think a lot of people get confused about the order of things. Like, oh, should I be designing first or using this template first and then just kind of plugging in words? Or should I be writing things first and then putting it into visuals? Always figure out the words first, then what it's going to look like. So once you've figured out your words, now for the fun part of putting that into visuals, how do you transform a basic or boring website into what I like to call the digital treatment room?
This is
So
my
we're
favorite. This is my favorite right here. I love this word, digital treatment room. I'm so excited for all of you to hear about this. Okay.
This is going to make it so it gives them an online space that gives visitors a taste of the magic that they're going to experience with you in the treatment room. So before we dive into solutions, I'm curious to know what's the biggest disconnect that you've seen between a body worker's physical space and their digital space?
They don't put their face on there. You
Yes.
don't actually see the therapist. And granted, I know that, there's reasons why in our industry that we avoid putting our face out there, but
Hmm.
that's actually the number one thing that the client needs to see. They don't want this stock image of somebody doing a massage. They want to see you. They want to see who you are. And can I take it one step further? In a
Yeah.
professional setting, dress professionally, looking professionally like a massage therapist, like the client is expecting to see.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Like high quality headshots are so important. We want to focus on building trust through that moment one from
Yeah.
people, and that it is showcasing you in context, um, sharing through like storytelling of maybe it's photos of your hands
Mm-hmm.
doing massage, behind the scenes glimpses of what that care were you prepping the treatment room. And these all create opportunities for micro connections through the thoughtful client-centered language. So and I know that sometimes people get really nervous about showing their faces online, which is totally valid. You could get unwanted attention, inappropriate expectations. It's kind of you're nervous about pushing those personal boundaries are some of those reasons. But when you don't have photos of yourself on the website, that can create a trust gap.
Mm-hmm.
And you attract the wrong people that way. And when people can't see the professional behind the practice, they'll fill in the blanks with their own assumptions. And sometimes those can be problematic ones, or you're not going to get the right type of people that truly value your business when you show up as a professional. I think that that's going to help the situation is when you look like so credible and so professional that people aren't going to try to take advantage of you
Yeah.
or make judgments about you.
Yes. And it's scary for the client. I mean,
Hmm.
they're coming in and they're trusting you with something even deeper.
Yes.
You're going to be massaging their body, and they are going to be, modestly undressing, with the sheets and draping and everything, but you're going to be seeing who they are at a
Hmm.
much deeper level. And I
It's a
think
very intimate service.
it's a very intimate service. And so for you to put your face out there and your hands and just to show them who you are in a very professional way is probably the number one thing that will make a difference for a lot of these
Mhm.
websites. That same website that I went and looked at didn't have not one person's name. It had the name of the business and said
Mm.
there's seven therapists here. Didn't give me a name of a person, a picture of a person, nothing. And I was like, so is it real? And
Yeah.
it just left me like wanting something from them. And so it was a really great thing for me to experience that. I can go, oh, this is what clients feel. So, and you know what? I've had headshots done. They're not expensive. They're
No.
they're not. They're not. And it's
And
actually a very valid part of your marketing expense.
yes, I completely agree with that. But even if you don't have access to a professional photographer for some reason, ask a friend. I had a client who was a somatic psychotherapist, and she did not have professional headshots. She was just starting her own practice, moving from a place where she was doing it. And she had her sister-in-law and an iPhone and a great day at the beach. And yeah, and they took lovely shots of her. She dressed like she would dress in a session.
Mhm.
She went to her favorite beach and sat on a log and just like posed like she was listening. And those photos are beautiful. And we use those on her site. And you also don't have to have a whole brand shoot, right? Like, that's great one day. And if you have the budget for it, fantastic. But you can pepper in those personal shots with, I guess I would refer to it as like the B-roll
Yes,
shots.
yeah, the B-roll. Yeah, the other stuff that's
Yeah.
not you, but it says I'm a
Yeah, and
massage
that can be
therapist. Yeah.
stock photography. That's fine. As long as it matches the same vibe as what you're trying to convey and what your in-person experience is like, it's okay to lean onto some for stock photography and some eucalyptus
Yes. Yes. Off in the
imagery.
corner, make yeah, exactly. Do
Yeah.
you know what I would love to see as a consumer? I'd love to see, the therapist either sitting on their table or sitting by their table, the table dressed. I call, when you set up your table, I call it dressing the table.
Hmm.
And just see, a little bit of the background, like what kind of a room am I walking into? Or,
Hmm.
maybe the therapist in the waiting room, holding paperwork. Or I mean, I'd love to
Yeah,
see the process that I'm gonna
totally.
that I'm gonna expect when I walk in the door.
Yeah. And you know what? I think what's most important for me, and I'm sure there are other clients who agree, is the sheets. I want to see the linens.
Uh-huh.
Even if you had like a nice, like lovely image of folded linens, or of the bed, I want to know what kind of like cozy scenario I'm getting myself into where this transformation is going to happen. That's so important to me.
It is like, what does it really look like? What does it
Yeah.
really look like in that room? Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just crazy, but I was at one very memorable massage that I place that I went to. When the massage therapist was out of the room, I like looked at the tag to where these sheets came from because they were so soft and so comfortable, and I wanted to know where I could buy them. So like, if you can just show a client or potential client what this whole immersive experience is going to be about and start to get them feeling that excited about things, they're going to book you so fast.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
exactly, exactly. I want that massage. Can I have the fuzzy sheets? And I want a table warmer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's part of the visual rich storytelling that I'm talking about that really needs to be reflected in your website experience. Um, so even like subtle textures that mimic your physical environment, let's say, and this is kind of that B-roll stuff. So maybe it's natural wood tones. Maybe you have a lot of like wooden furniture in your space, really soft fabrics, or like calming stones. I know that some places I've been in have those like beautiful water features, just ripples of texture. Lovely, and that breaks up the need of having a bunch of photography. And it also creates just like a lovely visual breakup for someone navigating your site.
Hmm. Yeah. And that was something I thought would be more difficult to add into my website because I've been playing with my website all week now. Thanks a lot. But it was like all of a sudden I had different ideas of like, oh,
Hmm.
how do I want that feeling to be? And I had tried to use a lot of pictures and it
Hmm.
was chaos. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need a ton of stuff. And that also brings me to white space and being okay with blank spaces on your website. That's going to create this sense of calm, just like your treatment room. So don't just clutter a bunch of information together. Don't write huge long paragraphs of stuff. Create space breaks throughout the website. If you show a picture, add some breathing room around it. And that's going to help someone scientifically become into this emotional state that you're creating in person.
Hmm. Yeah. Make it feel like a massage. Those moments of breathing, those moments of
Hmm.
rest, those moments of, yeah. Hmm.
I love that. That's exactly it. I would say as far as like the intuitive client journey now, when you're structuring your website and how are things going to be guided through naturally to from discovery to connection and then conversion, which is actually people book clicking that book now button and booking um, your services, maybe that's where we come back to wording. Make those buttons actually noticeable is one. Sometimes I'm like looking around a website and I don't know how to actually book a massage. I don't know if I'm supposed to be calling these people. Where is their phone number? Make these contact points super clear. Make them a different color. Make them bold. Make it very easy to read. Um, Number one tip there is to have those primary calls of action in the upper right-hand corner and then peppered the same exact one peppered throughout each page. And instead of book now, maybe let's change this to something that's more emotionally resonant. So, a good example is begin your healing journey
Hmm.
or schedule your treatment, like whatever that may be for pain. Creating those like little moments of delight throughout to surprise visitors. Maybe it's, if you want to get super technical, maybe it's like, oh, I can implement this like subtle animation. So when they highlight over a button, it like changes colors or something. That's always a fun one. Um, and some website platforms have that kind of functionality already. But yeah, just making like tiny moments of delight.
Take time for me time.
Yes, that's good.
Oh, take a 1 hour vacation. I mean, depending on what kind of therapy you offer and what kind of a therapist you are, I mean, that button's a journey too.
Yeah.
It inspires them to finally finish that click.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, my buttons were wrong. I'm like, I am so uninspired about myself here. This has actually been fun. Really had it. This has been
Fun.
fun because nobody taught me this. Nobody has ever taught me this. They have just said, get your website going, get a social media platform, but nobody ever taught me this part of it. And this feels like massage to me. This is like exciting and it's creative and it actually got my brain moving in the right direction because I've told people for years I'm not a marketer. I'm not. Well,
Yeah.
actually I am. Actually, but
I
I
think
just
everyone is. If they're in a business, running a business, I think you have to be in
you
a
have
certain
to
point.
be. But how
Maybe it's
about
not your zone of genius, but
but you
yeah.
but you bring kind of the massage part of it into it because of the feeling side of it because we're all about feelings. We are, and especially in massage. And so it's just been such a fascinating journey to walk this little path with you because it's inspired me in so many new ways that I'm excited. I mean, I've been wanting to sit down.
Hmm.
I put working on my website stuff off because I don't know what to
Hmm.
do. I don't
Yeah.
know what to do. I keep trying things and they're not creating what I want because
Hmm.
I was trying to be professional. And I look too professionally. So
Yeah, I think that's the other like I've seen two both sides where I've seen massage therapists who are like, oh, well, I'm like super free spirited, and that can kind of go
that,
into
I
the
mean,
visual clutter. And then the other side is, well, I have to be so professional that they miss showcasing part of their personality.
it's almost clinical. It's almost,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
there is. And I think I've done both actually. So
It
yeah,
takes a little bit experimenting. And that's another thing I want people to realize is that this can take some trial and error.
Mhm.
sometimes. And you're gonna, I mean, I fiddle with my own website all the time. I always learn something new. Like my process will evolve, how I'm dealing with my client experience will evolve, and then you update your website. And that's fine. Your website should be this living, breathing tool. It's not a one and done thing.
Thank
You
you.
don't just
Thank you. You just gave everybody permission to continue to work on it.
Yeah, I'm in there. I mean, it's also, my career, but I'm on my website like once a week trying to make sure that things are fresh or I have a new idea. I'll introduce a new service offering. So make sure you're at least making monthly, if not maybe quarterly updates, just to make sure that things are still relevant.
Mhm.
But I'll get into that a little bit. There's this systematic approach that can make this whole process easier. So I'm curious, do you find that most massage therapists approach their online presence with strategy, or is it usually more of just like an afterthought?
Check mark. I got it done. I'm not sure that it works right, but it's off my list. That's how most of us approach it. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I have a little framework that blends commercial design expertise with authentic alignment because I think that authentic alignment is so important. So you don't have to choose between, oh, this is my strategy, this is my website, and then like, oh, well, this is my soul, this is my personality. And that's called the magnetic presence method. And it just makes approaching this website branding marketing situation a little less daunting when you know what order of operations you're supposed to be doing things in. So, phase one is dream. You want to uncover your magnetic core, that is like the foundation that everything builds on. So, this is like you have to do this first. And that's what is identifying what makes your practice uniquely valuable beyond the technical skills. Something that I think is super fun that I started doing in my business, especially for solopreneurs, is looking at your astrology, looking at your birth chart.
This is so fun, people. I did this. This is so fun. And I could not believe the information that I got from walking this process with Hannah. This is one of the reasons why things became so much easier for me. So Hannah, sorry, I just had to interject that. Take
Oh,
it
yeah.
away. Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really enlightening. I did this for myself for the first time when I started kind of introducing this to my process. There is one specific placement. I'm not going to say, first of all, I'm going to preface this. I'm not an astrologer,
Mhm.
but I find peppering in astrology into my work to just add that next level of alignment. So I'm continuously learning more and more and more about this. But one placement that I find very fascinating in this first phase of this process is looking at your midheaven placement. And I know that that specific placement is not typically talked about. People have heard of the sun, the moon, your rising sign,
Mhm.
but your midheaven placement, and that if you're looking at a birth chart, that the symbol is usually MC. That's where astrology meets your professional presence. It's all about your public image, your career vocation, and that's how you naturally shine in your career.
Mhm.
So, for example, I looked up Amy's midheaven sign, and she's a Pisces, which is all about compassion and emotional connection and holistic healing, which is absolutely perfect
It,
for your
it is
work.
it is who I am, actually. Yes. Yes.
And this
I was a little shocked when I read it. I was like, oh, look, there
Yeah.
I
Oh, look at that. Yeah. And that is a really good, just by knowing this, like for your energy should be reflected in your online presence and it should make it feel welcoming and maybe even a little ethereal rather than overly corporate. So that's a, here's a
am.
little tip for your website.
Can I interject really quickly?
Yes.
So, as a business person and a business coach, and even in the massage realm, but I actually coach other industries as well. I always tried to look corporate, and I hated it. And I felt like I had tried all these different colors and all these different words and all these different pictures, and nothing ever felt right to me
Mhm.
because I'm not corporate. I'm compassionate.
Yes. You have that. that water element flow
Yes.
and calm in you. And that's like what you're naturally good at. And so you want to lean into that energy.
Mhm.
So this is all about like kind of identifying what that first natural energy is. So for me, I'm a Libra midheaven, and that is all about artistry and beauty and balance. And I was like, oh, great. Well, that aligns with my career perfectly. It's creating balanced brands and design for people. Um, and just kind of knowing that and knowing what elements of that sign come up with. Like, I have helped structure my visual brand around that. And my colors are very Libra. I lean on kind of rosy pinks and reds. And I work with a lot of my design naturally is like very symmetrical and balanced. And kind of my teachings with people is like how to find balance and ease within your brand.
Mhm.
So it's a helpful guide. So that's why I really recommend looking up that sign in this space.
I think what it did for me is it gave me the direction that I did not have. I kept trying these different directions of what I thought people wanted to see, and it
Hmm.
never felt natural to me. And so when I
Yeah,
had those pieces, all of a sudden I started looking at different things and finding what I wanted for the first time.
amazing. It
Yeah.
feels good. It
It
feels
does.
good.
Well, it's very empowering. It's extremely empowering because I have felt, even as a business owner for over 30 years now, that I've never really been able to portray who I am. How do you mix massage and business? I mean, how
Hmm.
that's a hard blend anyways. And I finally mixed them under my name, Amy Bradley Radford, because I didn't know, but you know what? That's what it is. But if I could have had somebody just give me those nudges, those little bits of
Hmm.
information, I think my ability to tell people who I am would have been so much more natural instead of trying to
Yeah,
fit myself into a mold, which isn't what I wanted to do either. That
definitely want.
I think that's
We're
what
too. We're over trying to fit into other people's boxes.
you are correct. You
Yes,
are correct. Mm-hmm.
we
That's
want
why
to. We want to
that's
make our own box.
well, it's not even that. It's we want to be who we are. But
Yeah.
if you listen to marketing out there, I mean anything, it's like you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way, you got but really, what do you want? But how do you bring
Mhm.
that out? So that's why when I started this podcast, I said she's got some very powerful things to teach you because this is incredible stuff, Hannah.
Good. Good. So after you have dreamed,
Hmm.
now we're going to define. And that is where we bring in a lot of the words. So we're going to craft your story. You're going to position your client as the story's main character.
Hmm.
And you're going to be that helpful little guide who's going to walk them through their journey and find them the solution to their problems. And what you can do here that's very helpful is to map the before, during, and after emotional journey that the client's going to experience. So this is where you're going to speak to that transformation, not just the techniques, and flow that story. So something I love to do is just map that journey as a story. Like you're going to sit down, you're going to write yourself a little story about this happy little client, or maybe they're probably actually sad right now.
In the be I as a client, I walked in the door and I could feel the tension in my neck and shoulders, and I was looking
Yes,
forward to the relief that I knew I was going to experience under these amazing hands that la 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 la.
exactly.
Mhm.
So, like start out like list a few symptoms that they'll typically come in with. Identify how that's making them feel. What are they missing out on?
Sleep.
Yeah. And what's that like internal conversation they're having with themselves? Then we're going to move into the during, and then they're going to meet you, list out a few sensory elements of your treatment space. Um, let's write down a few unique aspects of how you're personally going to deliver your service. Like what's something interesting that you do during the process? Like, are you going to use some sort of aromatherapy? Do you do something special with the linens, etc.? Only
When
you,
you
the
when you
practitioner, will
when
know
you
that.
when you rest your hands, you're going to rest your hands calmly on their back. Take
Exactly.
take a few deep breaths.
Yes.
Let everything go. And then
Describe the atmosphere,
Mhm.
and now what feelings is that little main character feeling because of that? And then move into that after transformation where, oh, okay, beyond the physical relief, now how do they feel? What kind of shift happened? What can they go out and do now? What can they enjoy? How are they describing themselves? So that's your little story map right
Mhm.
there. And then that is going to create this amazing foundation for all the rest of the messaging on your website.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier. It
Hmm.
makes it so much easier.
So much easier.
So
And
much
you can do that with all of your marketing materials. Use this one story for inspirations on all your Instagram posts or whatever insert social media platform here. Um, that's it's going to just make your marketing so much easier and authentic.
and it helps you find the pictures you want to describe that as well.
Yes.
One of the things that I've talked about in my podcasts and in my classes a lot was years ago when I first started out and I put an ad in the newspaper. That's how old I am, Hannah. And I put this picture of a zebra with its stripes falling off. Okay, this picture, and it said, "Do you need a massage?" And I put my name and my number down there. I cannot tell you how many stressed out people called me from that one.
That's so clever.
And but I thought it was being funny. I didn't think it was being clever, but it's that kind of imagery. Like these people, this zebra was looking back at its stripes,
Like,
like, "Oh my
I
God,
identify with that zebra. Yeah.
it's
That's exactly what you want.
that's
People are like,
exactly."
that's me.
Yep. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I was astounded with the response that I got from
Awesome.
that one image. And so that's what you're talking about here is
Exactly.
is creating that image and feeling.
Yes. Yes. They're gonna simultaneously have the sensory experience on your website of reading the story and then seeing the visuals that pair with it. And that's how your irresistible presence is going to be created. Because now we're in the designing phase where we're matching that visual to evoke those same feelings. We're creating that digital healing room, and then it's the debut. And this is where I was talking about don't set it and forget it. We want to now make sure that you're telling people about your website. And you can just talk about it all the time. This is like manifest it. Just put it out into the universe. Don't keep yourself a secret, right?
Yeah.
You tell all potential clients about your new website. Someone in the line behind you at the coffee shop, if they're like they're massaging the back of their shoulders or something, like, oh, hey, well, look at my website. I might be able to help you. Just talk. Don't be afraid. People who need help want to find you. If you have an email list, talk about your new website. If you have a social media, talk about it. That is going to start getting the traffic in and getting the momentum going.
Yes, and I think in today's world, people are expecting what you're talking about. We're
Hmm.
expecting to experience something visually that is so much more powerful than it ever was before.
Hmm.
And it's important. This is about, I don't want to say keeping up, but this is where people are going.
Yeah.
And it's an expectation. It's an
Hmm.
expectation to be able to feel this, see this, and find you in this way.
Exactly. Like your business might not be on an online business, but the world interacts in an online way. And that's just like a totally natural part of life now is people expect those websites to be credible.
It is the old-fashioned version of a phone book. And I know that I talk
Yeah.
about this, but you have to realize that demographically, the people who are utilizing massage are, between 30 and 60. And so they remember this. And years ago, when we wanted to find something, we went to the phone book. We didn't have Google. We didn't have all those sorts of things. And
Hmm.
so people want that one-page ad, quote unquote.
Hmm.
They want to see who you are and what you have to offer. And this is now how they find you. And there's
Hmm.
so much more competition in how they find you that this is an important part of your strategy for
Hmm.
your business.
Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly. So for the listeners who are now wondering, how the heck do I make all these changes? Well, if you're ready to start attracting clients like bees to honey with your website, I would love to offer your listeners 20% off of my massage therapist and body workers website template bundle, and with the code MBSuccess on checkout. And this isn't just your average template. It's packed with a full website content planner and adaptable copywriting prompts that are specifically designed for this industry. So it's gonna walk you through my entire magnetic brand presence framework in this content planner. So you're not gonna be confused
Yes.
about what steps next, what you need to think about. And then there's going to be a set of video tutorials step by step on how to implement the design with a launch checklist. So it's got everything for you
And I
for a massage therapist.
and I have to tell you that I put myself through part of this process before I brought Hannah on because I wanted to see what it was about. And you've heard my transformation, my struggle, my inability to identify what it is I truly wanted people to understand. I thought I was throwing out what they needed to hear, and I wasn't at all. And had I not walked through this process, I would still be lost. And so I know that a lot of my listeners, a lot of the people I coach, they just don't know where to start. And I'm here to tell you, this is where you need to start and walk through this process because Hannah's been extremely thoughtful and teachable. I love how she teaches and I like how she makes you think. And it just really takes a lot of the guesswork out of everything that you are struggling with and really starts to create something that speaks from you to your perfect client, which is the other thing that I notice is you're drawing in the clients that you want, not just another person to book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these people are going to become loyal clients who are going to rave about you and tell all their friends. So,
Yes. So
but if you're not quite ready to move so fast and redo your whole website right now, I invite people to come and take my 2-minute magnetic presence quiz. And that's going to help you pinpoint key opportunities for improving your overall digital presence and provide personalized blueprints based on your results. So we'll put the link to both of those offers in the show notes.
we will. And that's actually where I started. And Hannah, you're just brilliant. You're just absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
And
That's very sweet.
I think you're bringing something to this particular industry that is so needed for massage therapists because it is a missing link in our training. It's a missing link in what we're offered even in school, or even if we go take a business course, or even if they talk to a business coach. This would be a next step referral for me for people to in order to really create who they are and stabilize their business and bring in the clientele that they're looking for. So I just want to tell you, thank you for what you've put together, for everything that you've offered us on today's podcast. I thought it went beautiful. And I'm sure we will look down the road and have you on again.
Thank you so much, Amy. It was such a pleasure to chat.
All right, everybody. Thank you for coming to our podcast today. And don't forget to check out the links and the special 20% discount that Hannah is giving all of you, and it will be in the description. And we'll see you on our next podcast. Thank you for listening. For more information about classes, products, or coaching, go to amybradleyradford.com. And if you've liked what you've heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.